Let's podcast.
Yeah.
All right. I called order episode number 278 of the Brainstorm Brewery.
Oh, you actually have the number this time.
Yeah. We have a modicum of professionality on this podcast.
I don't know if I believe you.
We have a modicum of professionality on this podcast because Corbin isn't here.
Well, Corbin isn't here, which is why I said professionality, because he hates when I say that.
Professionalism? Is that?
Yeah. No, I said professionality as a joke. He's like, Jason's dumb. He doesn't know the word professionalism. So,
Dude, with all the shit Corbin says, like, I don't know how he can get on this.
he's not here to defend himself. It's just us. I'm your main host, Jason Alt. Welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, why did you wait almost 300 episodes to start watching this YouTube cast / listening to this podcast? What's wrong with you?
300 episodes? Really?
Close to
Almost
it.
300, yeah,
Almost.
yeah. We haven't even recorded the second part of episode 200, and we're almost on to 300, so...
We're going to do that here in the next couple weeks. It's going to get done.
Episode 300 should be out around some time around when Magic ends.
Oh, so we're on the,
Soon.
oh my god, what is your other podcast called?
Money
You're
Draft?
on the Money Draft release schedule now.
Yeah, which is ad hoc.
Yeah, I went and looked and
I'm
realized
joined by
there was
some-
3 months between your last 2 episodes or something like that.
Everyone's like, yeah, I think it stopped updating. We're like, no. No. iTunes is updating just fine. It's us. We're not updating. I'm joined by some guests. You hear a lot of noise from some people. I'm joined by lots of guests. First of all, the longest running guest on this podcast, Mr. DJ Johnson. Why don't you say hello to the fans?
That's the first time you've brought that joke up in a while.
He did it yesterday.
Yeah, well, I wanted you to do
Well, yeah,
a
but
bunch
the
of
listeners
stuff.
don't know that we recorded yesterday and then lost the entire
Hey,
podcast.
hey,
to technical
you're giving
issues.
away podcast secrets, all right? Stop that. You don't tell the guests that we lost an entire episode, okay?
Well, the people who
They know
do
because
know
Jason
that we
already
lost
tweeted
the
about it.
No, I didn't tweet. Okay, well, I did actually.
Wow.
It's the
But I
worst.
gave a more detailed explanation to the people who give us at least $1 to our Patreon at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. They have access to our Discord channel, where I made the announcement saying, hey, you know, those of you who pay a little bit extra and get access to the spreadsheet where we instantly put all of our pick of the week and breaking bulk picks, so you don't have to wait for the podcast to come out to get our finance tips. We're only partially updating because we lost the episode and we had to re-record it. So those people who gave us as little as $1 per month, which is something like 20 or 25 cents per episode, they have access to the Discord server where they can hang out with us, get announcements like that, and berate Corbin. So those people who pay a little bit more, like the people who give us enough money to get this handsome drinking glass that I'm drinking out of now, those are the kind of people we like because they say, hey, you know what, I'm supporting a podcast I really love. You guys, you do this, you don't get paid for it, and you don't have to go out of pocket for all your fees associated with your podcasting. So thanks for that. I don't know where I was going with that. Why was I? Why did I bring that up?
We're
Oh, because
still
we
on-
lost the episode.
You were still
we lost the
introducing
episode.
DJ.
Yeah. Okay. So circling back around to DJ.
Ugh.
Did you say hello, DJ, so I can move on?
I did. I'm also joined by one of the only other people on this podcast who actually uses magic as their full-time job.
Hey, you don't get to introduce people. You're a guest.
Yeah. What are you doing, man?
You tried to do that
Quit stepping on
yesterday,
my
too.
intros.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Wait,
He's like, we got to do everything exactly how we did it
he
yesterday.
tried to
Remember
be Marcel. That's right. I remember yelling at you about that.
Yeah,
You
it was
can't-
a
you can't
horrible
be
segue.
Marcel.
So
Yeah.
if we're doing the same thing as yesterday, we're going to talk about hockey after this?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Ryan Bouchard.
What?
He was trying to segue, and you stepped on it, and that's messed up.
Because no, he tried to. No, he can't introduce people. That's your job. He
Ryan,
cut you off.
this podcast is kind of like real life. You shouldn't step on a segue.
The same joke from yesterday too.
That's right. It was so good. The joke about your disability that was so nice, I made it twice.
See,
that was a good
Jason
one.
said that he forgot what happened yesterday, but he's just doing all the same jokes again.
It's coming back to no. Here's what happened. I got drunk and then muscle memory.
That's good.
That's
No,
how
and this is
jokes
where
work. I
this
go
is
up
where I
on
said that
stage.
I
I'm
would-
like, I don't know any of my jokes, and then I drink, and I was like, oh yeah, I could do my whole act now.
Yeah, this is where I
So-
said that I would challenge you to a Segway race anytime, any place. I think I could do better than you on one of those things.
And I said you could only do a little bit better than the guy who founded the Segway company and drove one off a cliff.
Yeah, and
then I made some
found
mention
that-
about how Corbin probably can't drive one since he ran into a pole.
Yeah, that overextended joke. I remember all this. This all happened.
I like how we're fondly reminiscing about an episode
like it was
that never got
yesterday.
released.
Because it was yesterday. So see, you
I'll
have to go take
finish
these things
introducing
in line.
everyone who's. You guys introduced yourself basically. It's Ryan Bouchard and it's Jim Casale from Cartel Aristocrats. Everybody.
Yeah, we're
whatever,
not
right?
new to this. We've done this a couple of times.
We don't need professionality. We just need to just get through this.
I thought this
because
was just the
I don't know if
rolling
you've
start.
ever. I don't know if you guys have ever done rework, but rework is the worst. So we're re-recording. We're maybe DJ and my files that are intact because we didn't screw it up. I'm not gonna say who, but it wasn't us. Maybe those will be a bonus for people,
Hey, no
so
one
they can listen to like just what I'm saying.
No one screwed up. Google Hangouts screwed up.
Oh, okay, that's true. Skype screwed up by not letting any programs record Skype. It's a mess.
Yep,
Podcasting in 2018 in Trump's America is a real mess.
I agree. It's
So,
it was
what are you
fine
gonna do?
though. You have to be able to take these things in stride. It's still not as bad. We only got 40 minutes in. It's better than the one we had a couple of years ago. Like that one was a catastrophe. That second re-record, I've gone back and listened to that episode. It's one of my least favorite episodes. Even when the episodes with like the terrible sounding guests and things like that, like I still hate the episode most because you listen to it and you can just hear the pain and our anguish in our voices about how much we hate redoing the entire thing. Because we got all the way to the end and we were like, all right, good job, guys. That was a real quality cast. And all you hear is
And Marcel's
you hear-
like, "It didn't
yeah,
record."
you hear Marcel go, guys, we don't have the podcast. And we thought he was joking. We're like, oh, you're a funny guy, Marcel. Yeah, I see. He's like, nah, really, we don't have a podcast. And we were all like, well, do we do it again now? It was just like, fuck that.
No, we can't. We can't do it now.
Because it was like 1
And the
o'clock
fact that
in
it's
the
only
morning.
happened twice in 5 years is almost miraculous, right? Like,
Yeah, but at least yesterday, like we're gonna have, once we hit that halfway point in this podcast, we're gonna like break into like, oh, it's brand new things, it'll be fine. And we didn't go so in depth in any one subject really yesterday that it's gonna be like overdone today. So I'm fine with it. Last time was really miserable. Like I don't remember what number that is, but if you go back and listen to that particular episode, I'm sure we can get it for the show notes.
Does Xander? What is his name again?
Xander Vanderzee,
Yeah, I didn't want to mess
number
up
one
his-
fan.
Yeah, number one fan. He probably knows what episode it is. You can probably ask him.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he's got a spreadsheet. They're like, yeah, that was episode 173.
Yeah, why didn't we just task him to record our episode 200? Like, all right, Xander, find all the
Because
notes
Marcel
and
wanted to do it himself.
write us a script.
Yep. Well, actually, Super Fantasy was instrumental in finding a lot of the clips.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
And then Marcel didn't use any of the info he generated, but he's like, I listened to every episode, all 200. And I put a bunch up on YouTube, and we're like, that's cool. We're not going to use any of that. So thanks, Sander. Now you know how Sisyphus felt.
I like that guy.
Can you explain that joke to me? Who is Sisyphus?
About oh, he's the dude that was tasked with rolling the boulder up the hill, but when he got to the top, it rolled back down. So his task was futile and never ending.
I see.
So that's the ancient Greeks were real creative with their eternal punishments for people.
Yeah,
I
they
hear
all
you.
kind of turned out to be the same, though. They were just very tedious. Like, you had Atlas, too. It's just like, all right, you're going to hold the world on your back now.
No, not always, dude. There was that one guy who was like, all right, every time you try to eat food, a harpy will come and scratch your face until you drop the food or whatever.
Well, who's the guy who was chained to the fucking rock and, like, had his organs eaten constantly?
There's a magic card about that.
Yeah, well, no, it doesn't have the guy getting his organs eaten.
It
Yeah,
should.
but it's chained to the
Yeah,
rock
why
or
doesn't
whatever.
it?
Well, because
Those cowards at Wizards of the Coast, those
That
soy
PC
boys
culture.
bowing to the PC
Oh,
crowd.
my God. All right, next. Talk about hockey.
Can't even show a disembowelment on him. It's BS, man.
There's a Magic card called Disembowel. Why can't we have the art on it?
Because it's a black card, not a white one.
Yeah, you can't put that on a white card. See, the Chain to the Rock was the white part. They should have been Eaten on the Rock, which is like a black card that did the same thing, but you had to put it on a mountain still.
Yeah, it's a black and white spell that has to be on a mountain.
Yeah, there you go.
That was a little too flavorful. It's sort of like, okay, I get what they're doing with the SB chain. Come on.
I thought it was great, honestly, because it's like a very. It was like a it was like Zeus's punishment, right? So it made it a very like white card, like Heliod was supposed to be Zeus, I think.
Something like that. He was like an evil Zeus because they haven't done.
Wasn't Zeus just a tool bag anyway?
Well, yeah, Zeus wasn't really.
Well,
good.
Zeus banged everybody. He wasn't like evil as much as he was like,
he did some
hey, there's a chick. I'll turn her into a duck and then fuck her and have a duck kid. And everyone's like, all right, I guess that's Zeus. He's incorrigible.
That's how we got
but he
Minotaurs,
also
right?
did some pretty vindictive stuff to like his brothers,
right?
to like Hades and Poseidon. He was a real dick, and like any of their followers.
Yeah, do you have brothers?
I mean,
You're
he was the
dicks
one who
to them.
literally chained that dude to a rock. He was the one who put the fucking world on Atlas's back. I'm pretty sure. Like he's not.
Yeah, and then if Atlas dies, the whole world dies at the end of the next turn.
Yeah,
You're right.
It's great.
Isn't it
That was
Burial in
Brian's pick
Heaven?
of the week the last time he was on this podcast.
That card's great.
Oh, man.
Still great.
It's still great. How's it doing for you financially?
It's still one of our best sellers.
Well, I mean, it's one of the cards that like you just buy for $1 or sell for $1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems great. We're turning into Tony Bennett on this podcast.
Bearer of the
What a
Heavens,
great
that's what
pick.
it is. Not Worlds. Let's see. What is on TCG?
It's my favorite card.
10 cents on TCG Player, probably.
Planet Bearer.
17 cents.
I love it.
Nice. Yeah, so it's not worth anything on TCG, but it's great for us on our site. So
Okay. You know what's not great necessarily? I have this vision, right, of Wizards of the Coast, and they've set into motion these events, right? They're like, all right, we put Jace and probably Bloodbraid Elf in Masters 25. And then we're going to do the big reveal. And then they're checking the event. And they're like, there are 10 undefeated people on day one of the GP. And they're playing 10 different decks. And they're like, oh no, Modern became the format we wanted. And then they're just imagining this freight train barreling towards their perfect format that finally became the format they always wanted it to be. And they're like, we're going to ruin it. And then it's too late to stop it. I really hope that that's what was going through their minds when they knew they were going to make that announcement.
nah, it's fine. I don't think this ruins anything. Bloodbraid, I think, has a bigger chance, but even still, like, everyone's just like, oh, I'm going to Bloodbraid into Ancestral Visions. It's going to be great. It's like, so you're in Temur, which isn't really a deck right now, and you're playing on the hopes of hitting Ancestral, which means you're either not playing anything under 3, which means your deck's terrible to start with, or you are like playing this really bastardized version. You're going to hit the card like 1 out of every 10 times, and cool, you get to draw 3 cards, and you got a 3/2 haste, which honestly in Modern isn't even that great for 4 mana. I don't know.
No, you're gonna hit that Savage Knuckleblade. It'll be good.
Great, yeah, but it's 4 mana. There's just not. I don't know.
I think that cards that are this good have the potential to reduce the field to like the best Jace or best Bloodbraid deck. I don't think that will happen, but I think it has the potential.
I mean,
whereas Modern is just becoming that like legacy utopia where there's tier 1 and tier 2, but then you got the person's like, I play High Tide every week, and sometimes I get there.
Yeah, I mean,
High
that's
Tide
what
is
Boggles,
not
right?
just turned
Boggles
into.
just. Yeah, Boggles just won a GP, and Boggles, like, I didn't even consider Boggles a deck before this weekend. I figured it was dead, like Infect. And,
well, there's no dead in Modern, is there? There's the like, well, I hit the right string of luck and I had the right sideboard for, because you got to get pretty lucky.
And I think a big part of it, too, is, like, if you're not playing one of the control decks or, like, the mid-range, like, Jund decks, it's not about your sideboard so much as what your opponent's sideboarded. So, like, you know, if they're just like, well, Graveyard deck did really well last week, we need to pile 6 Graveyard removal deck spells in this week, you know, like, Lantern did really well, so you got a lot of artifact removal. Well, that doesn't always play well against the rest of the field. Like, Boggles doesn't care. Cool, you can have all the Viridian Shamans you want in your sideboard. It's not going to do anything. And I think that really kind of brought the format full circle with, like, a heavy control deck doing so well. Then you see a deck like Boggles do well. You know, it's just... I think it's great. But I don't think Jace or Bloodbraid's really going to shake it up to the extent of where people are like scared. Like I saw a lot of the comments after Bitter Blossom got printed. Everyone's like, "Oh, great! All they're going to do now is slam
Yeah.
turn 2 Bitter Blossom, turn 3 the Liana. Modern's broken, format's terrible." And like Bitter Blossom is in some sideboards here and there, and like I see it as like a 1 and 2 of main deck, and then the occasional like mid range or control deck. It's not. It's definitely not what I would consider a powerhouse. It's not even a modern staple as far as I'm concerned. And I think that these two, like I think Jace will be better than Bitter Blossom, but I'm not 100%.
So
of
okay,
that
so
either.
you got like a continuum. Right? You got at one end you got Golgari Grave Troll, and at the other end you got Bitter Blossom, which is
I don't
like
even
Grave
know if
Troll.
Bitter
Everyone's
Blossom's
sort of
really
like
the other end. Like I feel like that card.
I think
sees way more
Thopter
play.
Foundry is the other end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Thopter Foundry is like the absolute
okay,
nothing card.
sure, but like what? Okay, whatever you want at the other end,
Hey,
which
our
is sort of
analogies
like,
are important, Jason. Okay, the internet's gonna tell you you're wrong if you don't pick. The
Like
right
Bitter
one.
Blossom's the middle, I
Are
think.
are they?
They are.
Or it's like
But
maybe
well,
it's
Blossom
still.
like
I mean,
did a little bit
Bitter-
of things, but it wasn't just like drop dead, do nothing.
Yeah, but people made such a huge deal out of it.
I mean, people made a big deal
Versus
with Thopter
People
assembly.
the deal they made out of
Every
Grave
unbanning
Troll.
ever.
No, they didn't make a big deal out of Grave Troll. They're
Oh,
sort of
they
like, great,
did.
whatever. And then that was a huge mistake. So
I don't think it was a huge
You know.
mistake, though. I think that the huge mistake is in the card draw that they've provided for those
Yeah,
decks.
that, like it was Grave Troll and then immediately Insolent Neonate and Cathartic Reunion that was the issue.
Right. I mean, the Grave Troll, it's cool, it's great, it like cuts down the number of dredges you have, but at the end of the day, like you still have Dredge 5 in those decks if you want it. And they've just kind of hybrid into different decks. It doesn't make them like that much worse. They're just
that's
different.
why they rebanned it, huh? Because it wasn't a mistake. Good call.
I don't think it was.
Moving on.
I mean, we have like Hollow One, I feel is more of a mistake than that card was. As far as like the decks and how linear it is and how little play you have against it. Because Hollow One means that you can't just bring in graveyard removal and have like good answers to those decks. Because sometimes there's like turn 2 fucking Goblin Lore, here's triple Hollow One, have fun. And like the Grave Troll decks at least weren't doing that on turn 2.
I mean, they could do something similar to that.
They
But
were
it was
doing
all out
Price
of
of
the
Malcolm stuff
graveyard,
on turn
right?
two.
I mean,
Again, it was all out of the graveyard.
Yeah,
so if you, like,
it was
went
all
turn
out of
1
the grave-
Grafdigger's Cage, that was a answer. Whereas in like T1 Grafdigger's Cage versus this deck doesn't necessarily guarantee that they have to deal with that before they even go crazy. Like now they can just be like, oh, that's cute. Well, Faithless Looting anyway. 2 Hollow Ones or something like that. But I feel like that card has more play than the old Dredge deck did, and that's why we saw it do well enough anyway.
So you think on your continuum, which apparently has Bitter Blossom in the middle now?
Well, it's somewhere in the middle. I don't know if it's like direct.
Where is Jace and Bloodbraid fall on that? Are we gonna need to be worried? Is it gonna be like a lot of Sound and Fury signifying nothing, kind of like some of these unbans were? Or is this just gonna be sort of like a thing that just sort of adds more decks to the format and doesn't reduce the number of decks?
I feel like it. Okay, so I don't feel like either one of the cards cancels another deck out from existing. Like nothing makes something else unplayable, and especially as diverse as the field is, like
Well, not unplayable, but maybe not worth playing.
No,
It's like, well, you're a bad version of this now.
I don't think so, because I think that like so everyone's like, oh, Lantern's just gonna play Jace. It's like no, Tezzer's better in that deck. You're gonna see the control decks that like didn't really have a good win condition. We're just using like Celestial Colonnade now, be able to adapt Jace and actually have that fast win condition. But I'm not even sure it's a 4 of in those decks. Like, it's going to start as a 4 of, absolutely. And some people are going to go, oh, you're absolutely wrong right now. But I don't think you can just jump to that conclusion, at least for a couple months, because you're going to see a lot of Jace decks, I think, do well right off the bat. But that's just a product of everyone being excited and wanting to play their Jace deck, especially since we just saw how much per Jace is worth. If you had a playset or you just bought a playset, you're going to play that playset. Because you just bought them. Like, everyone is going to find a reason to jam Jace. No one is looking at non-Jace decks right now, unless they are already metagaming for, the Jace decks being huge. And I don't think that is going to carry over in 6 months. I think that even if we see the first GP just dominated by Jace, and you see, what's the worst case scenario, 20 copies in the top 8, that doesn't really scare me, because Jace is a very beatable card in Modern. If you want to gun for Jace decks, and you want to beat Control, the mono red decks that exist, and the other like very fast aggro decks are very good against a lot of these control decks. And I think that instantly the format will jump back into a very smoothed out format, even if you have that spike in Jace popularity. And Bloodbraid Elf, on the other hand, does slot into some existing decks. Obviously Jund better, and everyone's talking about the Temur thing with Ancestral and stuff like that. And again, that's I think more cute than anything else. I think Bloodbraid's really going to just maybe find its home back in Jund. and probably not do a ton extra. I'll be real surprised if we see archetypes popping up just from Bloodbraid Elf, personally. And it's not that you don't have things that are worth
Yeah, and I
cascading
think
into. It's that you have cards like
that's
Fatal Push now that you have to play when you're in those colors. And like cascading into a Fatal Push, while sometimes it's fine, is sometimes not great either. Which means that the Bloodbraid Elf you just paid for a 3/2 that didn't do anything else. And that's not really where you need to be in Modern on turn 4.
So which it's probably why they were cool on banning it, because they probably tested it to death and they're like, look, we don't really foresee Bloodbraid creating something that we're gonna have to deal with later.
Yeah, I mean, the Ancestral, everyone keeps making that argument, and like, while that's cute, your two options for making the Ancestral deck work are you have nothing else under 3, in which case Ancestral is like great when you do hit off your Bloodbraid, but your deck's not going to win anyway because Modern can just kill you before turn 4. And then the other option is that, you're hoping to hit your Ancestral, but you also have like, 10, 15 other targets in your deck. And in which case, sure, you get your 10% of the time Ancestral or 20% of the time Ancestral, but you still paid 4 mana to draw 3 cards and get a 3/2 haste. Like, we have creatures in
I'm a
Modern.
lot more excited to cascade into Ancestral when I'm doing it off of a Shardless Agent in a deck that
actually
got other stuff.
They can actually brainstorm
Everything
into that.
I can hit on 1 and 2, I want to hit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's like the argument like the Tamir deck with Bloodbraid Elf and Jace, so you can brainstorm into it. It's like, if that's how hard you're going to want to be brainstorming into Terminus. I think that's a much better use for Jace. I think a lot of people are going crazy because there's a handful of people that remember the time when Jace was really good and Standard and Broken and Extended or whatnot, and those are the people that are like, concerned about it, but what they're not realizing is like the format was a much different time period. Jace was a much more difficult card to deal with. We didn't have cards that just said destroy target Planeswalker first off. If Dreadboard needs to see more play, Dreadboard will see more play. If Hero's Downfall needs to see more play, it'll see more play. We didn't have those kinds of options available at the time. And then the other camp is these people who are just bandwagoning against, essentially, on those other people. And you'll see their arguments, and you can poke so many holes in it, and you could tell that they never actually even played with a format where Jace was legal. And that's the ones that are really making me laugh. Like, the world is over, the format's dead, and they've never even seen Jace, in an actual constructed format. So, I mean, we'll see, but I'm really in the camp that Jace is going to help Modern more than hurt it.
Well, all the obvious stuff has gone up. Jace obviously has gone up in price. We're going to see where that price... We're going to talk a little bit about where that price settles later. But, Jim, have you got any ideas of cards that you think haven't gone up yet, but might be used in conjunction with either two of these unbanned cards? We're starting to see some stuff go up, like we talked about Ancestral Visions, but is there anything people are missing?
I think the Manlands from Worldwake are definitely the cards I'd be most interested in keeping an eye on. It's possible that they also get reprinted in Masters 25, but those spoilers don't start till next Monday.
On the subject of Masters 25, there's a lot of speculation that the rare cycle of lands in that product will be the Lorwyn and Shadowmoor and Eventide filter lands, because there's a lot of there's like the new art cycle that's used for those on Magic Online at least.
Oh, there are 10 of them. Ooh.
I don't know if they do all 10. That's a lot of spaces to devote.
Like, there is a lot of Magic Online only art that's currently out there for like Scape Shift and Sword of Feast and Famine promos and like filter lands and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
so
they do a different promo every month, so.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, it's also possible that it's coming down the line eventually because, it took us forever to get the signets in paper, right? It was 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good indicator that they're coming. It's just I think Wizards has done a good job of mixing it up on whether or not it's coming in 3 months or if it's coming in 3 years.
M19, right? They're one of these 2019, and they're gonna start doing core sets, or is it this year? Is it 2018?
It's this year, right?
This year.
This year's summer product is a core set.
Yeah.
So that would be a nice cycle for a core set for sure. So yeah, it's probably coming, but I don't think it. Man, in a master set, I don't think you're trying to.
It's a really
I don't
lame
think you get
card
10 lands.
to...
It's 10
well, not only that, but it's a really lame cycle. Manlands feel much more 25th Masters to me than if you're really going to devote 5 land slots. I personally have the opinion I don't think there's going to be a land cycle. I think it's going to be a handful of lands that need to be reprinted Caracas style as far as EMA goes.
Doesn't need to be a whole cycle.
Yeah, I think you'll see one.
Because you really need to reprint the Stirring Wildwood again.
Yeah,
well, it just got a reprint.
Lava Claw reaches. Yeah,
I know.
2, even 3. You could argue that 3 of the 5 are just just don't need a reprint. Like even Raging Ravine right now is not that expensive.
Yeah, it's just Tar Pit and
yeah, it's Tar Pit and
Colonnade.
And it's mostly Colonnade. Like no one's complaining about or clamoring about Creeping Tar Pit being a $15 card.
Right.
Yeah, because everybody knows that Port's going to be in, but no one's talking about doing a cycle for that. So.
Yeah,
Right,
actually,
so
we should look at the most recent Judge foils. Like, what did we have? What are the most recent lands? Because they really like to give out Judge foils and then like wait like a year or two and then put them in a master set. Because they did that same.
I mean, it could be like Wasteland again or something like that too. Because I mean, you got to remember if they're doing one card from each set, some of these sets, like the only redeeming card in it really is a land. Especially when you get to the older stuff, a lot of these uncommons, you look at something like Caracas, like I wouldn't be surprised if Caracas was in it again. Not saying it's going to be, or that, it has a high percentage, but if you look at Legends, there's not a whole lot of other exciting cards that you can put in that are at that rarity. I mean, I'm sure you can come up with some EDH cards, but as far as like something that everyone will be happy opening from a booster pack, I think Caracas is about as close as you come.
Right.
All right, we reprinted Teleria. Oh, nice. I could use another Teleria West. Like, no, Teleria, your blue Legends banned with other Legends.
Yeah. Like, oh, how great. And that's a rare too, right? Isn't it? Or is that an uncommon?
No.
Okay.
No, I think those are common or uncommon.
Well, because there's an
cycle
uncommon cycle and a rare cycle, I think. Because there's one that like bans with, and then there's another one that gives them like an ability. Because you have like Urborg is part of the cycle, but it's
Urborg was your Black Legends.
So Teleria taps for blue, and also
rare.
I have the card open. Teleria has tap, add a blue to your mana pool, or tap, target creature loses banding and bans with all other abilities until end of turn.
Yeah.
Activate this ability only during your upkeep.
That's the uncommon cycle, right? What's the rare cycle?
I don't know.
The other one, the other cycle's even worse. It's just like your red Legends banned with Legends. So that must have been the common cycle, and then Teleria and Urborg and whatnot are on the uncommon cycle.
Okay, so you have Caracas, Teleria, Urborg, Hammerheim, and Pendelhaven. That's the
Those are U2s. Those are uncommons.
Oh, okay, so those weren't rares.
Nope.
So it wasn't rares until Saga cycle. So you had like the Sanctum, the Tellurian Academy, Shivan Gorge.
Yeah, these are all U2s. That's why Caracas could get reprint, because it can be on the reserve list. It's an uncommon.
Right. I swore there was a cycle of rares too. Huh. Oh, maybe.
I mean, who knows? We could. This isn't compelling radio, probably.
Well, I mean, I've got
figuring out what's in Legends.
But I mean, that really like that's what I'm saying is it breaks down just how many cards they can reprint. Like, what are they gonna do out of alliances? We might see Force of Will again. Wouldn't surprise me. What other exciting
but Lake
cards
of the
do you
Dead.
Can you do Lake of the Dead?
Counter and Outpost.
They could just throw Arcane Denial in there from alliances.
Sure.
Lake of the Dead's on the reserve list. Yeah, you're right.
That's what I'm saying.
It can't be a rare.
That's what I'm saying.
Thawing Glaciers.
There's just certain sets.
Yeah. It could be Deadly Insect. You don't know. Like, it could be anything. Varcheld. No, not Varcheld's War Riders. Damn, it's harder than I thought.
Thawing Glaciers is also a rare for what it's worth.
It's also on the reserve list.
Yeah.
Contagion. Boom.
Sure, and that's what I'm saying. Is like, are you either getting a bulk card or you're going to have to redo some of these cards we've already done because they've really hit the one or two exciting cards they can reprint from that set already.
I mean, if you look at the stuff, the time shifted set stuff, wasn't that all like one card from every set? And like a lot of them were really fucking bad.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So we just might get a bunch of bad cards.
But Time Shifted also wasn't trying to really reinvigorate your game, and you weren't heralding it as your 25th Masters. I feel like you're gonna have a lot harder time selling this in your Walmarts if someone's opening Squires as their fucking commons.
Yo, man, maybe they'll just give you Gorilla Shaman. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll take a Mox Monkey all day, dude.
That card's good in Pauper.
You better give me a bunch of new art, too. If this is all the same old art, I'm going to be really ticked off.
So, DJ, you got trampled, which I really appreciate. I love it. But you were trying to pipe in and say something, and I let you get drowned out for my amusement. Do you remember what you were trying to bring up?
Yeah, so concerning just like Jace and Bloodbraid in general and like buying behavior when cards get unbanned.
As long as we're on the subject, right?
Yeah. So Jace gets unbanned and immediately everybody buys out Jace, right? And then
that's level 1 thinking, right?
Yes. And then from the Vault 20 is going to lag behind a little bit. because that's just how sealed product works. People want their Jaces, but they don't think they could get from the Vault 20 for a little bit more expensive, but I mean, like, you're still getting a lot of value out of the product. So, like, instead of buying Jace at 80 or 90 or whatever, you were able to get, there was a very short window, but you could get from the Vault 20 for, like, $120, and then you get 90 or $100 extra dollars worth of value for a minimal additional price point. And then from the Vault 20 ends up at, like, 170 or whatever. And I think a lot of players forget that when huge price increases like this happen, that there's a lot of other ways to buy cards like Bloodbraid Elf. Like, for example, Bloodbraid Elf has a lot of ancillary products. It was in Eternal Masters, sure. It was in
like a plane ship?
Exactly.
Plane
it was
Chase?
in Plane Chase 2012, the original Plane Chase 2012, and then the Plane Chase Anthology. So it was in the Chaos Reigns deck, which doesn't have a whole lot of value in it, and before this price increase, you could find the Chaos Reigns deck for around like $32. But that $32 price tag immediately becomes a lot more appealing when Bloodbraid becomes $10. So if you're looking for Bloodbraid Elves, sure, and you need your 4 set for this coming couple weeks or whatever, sure, you could go on TCG Player and spend $40, or you could go buy 2 of the Chaos Reign sealed decks. You get your 4 Bloodbraids, and you spend like $60, and then you also get like a couple Maelstrom Wanderers, you get a couple Baleful Strixes, you get a couple, you get a playset of Shardless Agents, you get like...
Oh, everything in that deck it's down to like, I had no idea how much Peregrine Drake was. Like, that deck is pretty stacked.
You get you get some Cultivates, you get a stack of schemes that you can like buy list the next time you're at a GP. You get a lot of additional value just by not being like a part of that main rat race of, oh, I gotta buy my Bloodbraids now, I needed my 4 copies. You can think ahead of a lot of the sealed product that jumps up in price a lot later than the single card actually does. So Bloodbraid is also in the Commander 2016 deck for Entropic Uprising, which is Yidris's deck. So if you happen to find those around there for like what they were 2 weeks ago, that's still a good price because there's suddenly a lot more value included in the sealed product. Is it a make or break if for somebody who just needs 4 Bloodbraids and nothing else? No, probably not. But remember that
especially because you can wait for
exactly.
25.
You can probably wait for the deck to get or for the Bloodbraid to get a reprint or whatever in Masters 25. But I'm saying that just as an overarching tactic, buying the sealed product that the cards were in after the cards that were in them go up is a good way to get a lot of additional value. Like Commander 2016 Yidris's deck has Ash Barons. That went up to $8 recently. It has Bloodbraid, it has Yidris, it has Thrasios, and the other one.
Kydel.
It has Vial Smasher. That's what Thrasios and Vial Smasher.
Yeah.
So like, there's just a lot of value in that deck, and as the value of the cards in it go up, the sealed product tends to lag behind. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to save the rest of this discussion for my pick of the week, but that's just something I wanted to mention in reference to cards jumping really, really quickly during an unban or during new hype based off of new combos or whatever.
And everyone's just thinking, get the cards, buy those just single copies out of the stores, and then once those are gone, the prices go up. Do you want to pay the new price point? You don't have to.
Like, just to add on,
you go buy a Rat's Nest to get that GTA. You go buy whatever deck that was to get your Sensei's Dividing Top. You don't have to pay. You're really subsidizing, and you're getting free cards basically.
Right, exactly. And just one last example to hammer at home, like Chainer's Edict is a card that's on a lot of people's minds right now because of Pauper. I had it as my pick of the week a few weeks ago as like a $4 or $6 card, and now it's $12. You could go on.
And it's also a 2 of in all the precons.
Exactly. I just tweeted about that like last night or so. But you could go out and buy 4 Chainer's Edicts, spend like almost $50 on your playset, or you could go on scour the depths of eBay or TCG Player or ABU Games or Channel Fireball, or whatever, and you can find the Grave Danger Torment theme deck that this has 2 of them. And that theme deck is online for between like $12 and $15. So you spend $12 to $15, you get your 2 Chainer's Edicts, you get a couple Careful Studies, you get a Breakthrough. None of those are huge in impacting the value, but I mean, you get a discount on 2 near mint Chainer's Edicts. They're guaranteed to be near mint because you're getting something that's sealed in plastic wrap. Yeah.
Yep. Now I don't know how many people are going to run out and buy some Torment deck, but I do think that people are going to bust a lot of FTVs. And what do you guys think that does to the price of some of these cards like Thran Dynamo and Gilded Lotus and stuff like that? And should we even worry about that when there's a good chance Gilded Lotus is in Masters 25? Or what are you thinking for the short term for stuff like that?
I don't think it impacts the price of any of the cards in the product too much. Primarily because the FTV foiling is a little gross, and those cards have always been a little bit undervalued compared to their normal predecessors. Just because like you don't see a whole lot of people willing to just accept that ugly FTV foiling, even if you're only saving a couple dollars. At least at my store. I don't really think it impacts the price of the product overall, because the sealed products always have just a little bit higher of a total value of the products. And like $180 FTV 20 is always going to have like $220, $230 cards, but the margins just aren't there for people to crack it and like make free money at that point because of fees and shipping and
yeah,
all
it's
these
only
other
worth it if
extra
you're selling it on
requirements.
the retail end. Like a good portion of the FTVs we bring in, we crack and sell because we can make more than selling them. But it's only if you're not paying, you know, we're not buy listing, obviously, like we're
Right.
to the end user. So we're kind of in that middle ground where it is worth busting, but it's not really worth buying for that expensive amount and then busting. We just want to buy list them at buy list. We still can't pay like
Well,
180
having
on them.
not running out of stock of a card is a thing too.
Well-
Like if you're just some dude on TCG player, like not running out of stock on something that you want in your case is not a consideration. But if you're a store that's like, oh, we got to have Jace's facing out so we can get those other sales for the people that come to our booth for that card and buy other shit, that's a consideration too.
Well,
so
and outside
yeah.
of the booth part too, with the online, you're talking about like Guild Lotus and stuff. So while the FTV metric is definitely lower, I can't ever say that, you know, in the 2 years I've been working here now, that we've hit a point when it's just like, man, we got too many Gilded Lotuses in stock. That's not really a concern. There's not enough of them out there for the amount of people who absorb them. Even with a reprint, I think the card will be just fine. So especially in the current moment until we see the reprint announced, and even with the casual market, it's not like the moment is announced that casual market's just like, oh, quit buying Gilded Lotus. A lot of them don't know what's out until they see it come out physically in Modern Masters 25 when they open it in a booster pack. These are
Well,
people
it's not like, oh, worry about your butthole. It's more like, is there going to be an opportunity for Gilded Lotus to get about $3 or $4 below where it would normally be, just because people are
Oh, absolutely, because you're gonna see.
in the short term, or do you just want to?
Yeah,
Because it's going to be another couple weeks for the spoilers for Masters 25 anyway, and I think the window's so short. I don't even want to.
I think
Well,
you're.
the whole set, right?
I mean, the whole set will be within the week.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez.
Oh, they're doing it over 1 week again.
Yeah, it's the same as Iconic.
Why would they do it?
Oh,
like,
that's gross.
So they always do it. Well, they did the last standard set in 1 week, which I think is better because like stretching it out too much like kind of gets people.
Well, that's a small set though, right? They do small sets over 1 week normally, right?
Well, when it's reprints too, it's like no one's reading the shit. They're like, great, I know what that does. But if it's new cards, people have to think and brew and stuff like that. But like,
Because
you
Masters
don't
20
need to
or
give-
Modern Masters 2017 was over 1 week, and Rivals of Ixalan are over 1 week. But that's because they're smaller sets, like, and because they're all reprints.
Yeah, I'm fine with the 1 week thing. I think you extend it out too far, especially if you're going to be pushing as many products as they are each year. If you're doing 2 weeks of spoilers and then the set, it almost feels like everything just blends together. Whereas this really forces us to be the distinct time when like you're looking at 25th Masters, and it's not like, you know, it's a 4 week endeavor. It's 1 week of that, a week of release, and then people kind of after the course of 2 weeks the prices will settle and stuff like that. But I definitely think there's room. I mean, it's like anything, right? Like Iconic Masters, you see a lot of these cards that like immediately tanked. A good example is the Dragon Legend cycle. So like they all plummeted, and you obviously Yugen and Ryusei and stuff like that. They're not going to recover. Like they have alt arts. They'll probably not be bulk rares in a couple of years. They'll just be above that, like they were before, where like the mythics you could get $1.54, and the rares you could get like 50 cents or whatever on a pie list. But the things like Kakusho and Ryu and Yosei, they will recover. Kakusho was like a $15 card again before it got reprinted here, and then it dropped down to like 4. And it's quickly already back up to 8 for us right now. And I expect that to be 12 again next year because people just want that card. Like the demand for Kakusho didn't really go down, and we were not able to meet the demand even before the reprint. And we really honestly still can't meet the demand now. It's just that we're getting them in so much easier that we sell them for less. But they sell at the same rate that they did before. And it's, you know, we get more in than we did before. It's, you know, I'm not getting 3 or 4 per show. I'm getting 15 now, but I'm still selling through that 15 before I have another show. So it's not like I've hit that maximum cap. And I think that you're going to see that with a lot of those like hard staples, the Gilded Lotuses, stuff like that. Same deal. And so if those drop down to $4 cards, $5 cards, they're no brain buys for me. and just set them in a box
Yeah.
for 6 months. It's
For
not even
sure.
that long term anymore because you have these master sets where everyone kind of the market resettles itself where it's like, okay, initially there's a ton of it open, the prices tank, and then people go, well, it's not worth opening anymore. So it quits being opened. And yeah, it's going to sit on shelves and packs will trickle out, and a lot of the retailers are going to complain about like, oh, it's not fast moving for me anymore. But that's just kind of the market regulating itself on like how much can be processed and how much can actually be sold at once. And you're not going to buy these boxes as a financier until they're worth busting for the singles, or until you have an out for them sealed. And so, as long as they're sitting there still sealed and just opening up over time, it's not like you're tanking anymore the cards prices. Like, I don't expect the Kakusho from Iconic Masters to suddenly be worth less than it is now in a year, unless it gets reprinted again. I think any of your staple casual stuff's great. I think anyone who starts selling the stuff, if you're buy listing Gilded Lotuses for $2, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I think this is as good a time as any to move on to a segment that we like to call a break in bulk.
Yeah.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, break in bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Now, we caught Jim a little bit by surprise last night. He was like, oh, break in bulk, how do you do? Oh, what's it all about? We explained it to him. And now he's locked and loaded, so I think we're actually going to let our guest, Jim Casali, go first with his breaking bulk. And he didn't reveal it to us last night. It's going to be a surprise. We're still going to guess. It'll be good. Let's do this.
So you've given me this opportunity, but last time I definitely asked, and you complimented me on my ability to, let the audience know if they're new to the cast and they don't know.
Oh, yeah,
and then
yeah.
And then you
No, well,
completely forgot to do that part again, and now I'm going to ask you what's breaking bulk.
Okay, see what I rhetorically I was pretending that I thought Jim actually knew what breaking bulk was, but was pretending not to. Because I was shaming him for admitting he doesn't listen to the podcast.
Triple double reverse.
Yeah,
fake
I was
out.
shaming him for not listening to the podcast by pretending, of course, he knew what breaking bulk was, and the reason he asked was to do the Socratic method and like be the proxy for the audience and be like, "Well, why don't you explain it to me?" So
Four-dimensional chess master himself,
yeah.
Jason.
So I was actually shitting on you, but here's what we'll do. We will allow you to play because of course Jim listens to this podcast all the time. So he knows very well what breaking bulk is, and the fact that I'm going to describe it to him is so he can act as a proxy for the audience who may just be joining us for the first time and not know, hey, what's breaking bulk all about? So Jim, proxy for the audience, what we do is we like to pick a bulk card that has either come to us in bulk or something we just noticed was on a buy list for like a decent amount, like 25, 50 cents, 75 cents on the buy list, and you're like, wow. I bet someone listening to this at home, when they go through a stack of their cards and they're like, pulling out all the obvious stuff, they could miss this card. It doesn't seem that obvious, but it's actually worth a surprising amount of money. So what we like to do is we make it into a guessing game. We tell each other, hey, I'm going to describe this card. It's from this set. It's this color, blah, blah, blah. And then the rest of us try to guess. And then that person says, it's in bulk. Pick it out. And then we're like, it's a good segment. So having it explained to you in that manner 2 nights in a row, do you feel comfortable going first?
I do. I think I have a very good breaking bulk pick. I don't know if I've listened to literally every episode, so I hope it's not one that you picked previously. But it is a 10th edition uncommon, and it is green.
So it's not Goblin Lore.
I'm sorry?
Blanchwood armor?
DJ said Blanchwood armor, which is a good guess.
It is not Blanchwood armor.
Ooh. Yavimaya Enchantress?
Root Maze. Root Maze, no, that's a rare.
No, Yavimaya Enchantress isn't rare. It's the two...
No, I said Root Maze, then I corrected myself.
It is not Sylvan Scrying, and it is not Yavimaya Enchantress.
Wow. Green, uncommon, from 10th edition with the X?
With the X.
With the X.
I'm trying to think of what all is in that.
Was it in a cycle with Cone of... No, that's stupid. That was incremental growth from Lorwyn. You stumped me. I'm gonna... Not Rancor, right? That was M10?
Rancor is
It's
like
yeah, it's
not
like
in
M12 or
edition.
something. Whatever.
Boy,
It's
you got
M13.
me. Is it a troll? Is it
I'm thinking.
albino troll?
That card has
Albino
Echo.
Troll's on, isn't it? Yeah, that's not in 10th edition. What are you talking about?
Well,
think you're-
there was a troll. There was a troll in in 10th edition.
You're thinking of
No,
Troll
I'm
Ascetic.
not. That was Mirrodin.
Man, if it's not Blanchard armor, that's tough.
I don't know. You got me, dude.
It's not like creeping mold or anything like that, right?
No. It is not an elf.
Is it an elf?
Recollect.
It is not Recollect.
Humpus Wumpus.
Recollect.
It's not that either.
It's not Humpus Wumpus. Wow, just tell us the card.
It is-
Jesus.
it is
You
called
got us.
Primal
Yeah, this
Rage.
is a good one.
It is a 2-mana green enchantment.
Oh, shit. Your creatures get trampled.
Yeah, that buy
Oh,
lists
yeah,
for like
that's great.
75 cents.
Yeah,
You should have
yeah.
told us it was also in Stronghold. I would have nailed it.
What? Why would I say
No,
that?
yeah, you're right. I picked this
Because
card,
that's
but I
how
never
we
see
guess.
it.
When we're not guessing, you're like, it was also in
No,
You
Stronghold.
didn't explain
No,
that to him in the
that's-
rules.
that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
that wasn't in the rules.
Poor job of you did
I
a
thought
poor
the
job
rule-
of laying out what breaking bulk
Oh,
was.
I was hoisted by my own petard. Good pick,
Yeah, I was
Jim.
about to say. I thought the rules were to try to string you out to
That's-
make you embarrassed.
No, that's a good one. I know to pick that card, but I never see it. So like it's so
Yeah.
hard to find.
All
And
right.
like
I like that
yeah.
game in the arcade. You were dinosaurs and like King Kong monsters, and they beat each
Yeah,
other
they
up.
had
I
like
thought
that.
that was
like,
that wasn't
No, that was
that was
Primal Rage.
Rampage.
No, it was Primal
That was
Rage.
Primal Rage.
Oh, you're talking about the fighting game.
Yeah, the fighting game with like the weird heartbeats. That was your life form.
Yeah, and the rat. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
remember the raptor noise being really annoying. Every time you take it, you go. Rah, rah. Except you always with him, he was a fast attack character, so you had to keep using like the same leg sweep,
Mhm.
and so it was just him yelling constantly through the match.
So while we were talking about Chainer's Edict being $12, I have a like box of old border black cards, and I didn't find any Chainer's Edicts, but I found a ton of Noxious Ghouls and Corpse Harvesters, so I'm kind of happy.
Ooh,
Are those
nice.
worth like
Those
real
are good.
money now? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
like
this is
quarters.
anywhere.
It's worth it.
All right. So is it my
Put
turn?
those in a Bizarre, send them to Card Kingdom. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan Bouchard. You know how the game works.
Well,
So
hopefully
just
this
give us.
hopefully this doesn't cut us off again, because mind you, last night this is when we noticed that we weren't recording. Was when I
Well,
decided
I'm
to go
definitely
into my
recording. If
pick
it's
of the week.
if it's one of you guys, I'll come to your house and stab you in the face like
Ooh.
you're a YouTube star.
Ooh, rough.
Oh, that's topical.
So I started with this is a Modern Masters, and then you asked me the question, what sets it originally from, and I believe that
And
was
then
where I
you
got cut
stopped
off.
responding for a minute
So
and a half. Yep,
the
all right.
original set that it was from is Modern Masters.
So it was only in Modern Masters.
So it was only in Modern Masters. It is not technically only in Modern Masters. However, its first printing was in Modern Masters, which means it is probably a token. I'll at least give you that.
Oh boy.
Is a Modern Masters token.
And mind you,
So
a
it
lot
was
of
a-
people skip tokens now because they print so many of them that people don't know that these are worth as much as they are.
Is it the Avatar token from Sarah Avatar?
It is
No.
not.
that card wasn't.
Shut
in
up,
Modern
DJ.
Masters.
That card also I don't think makes a token. Is it?
The Johnny
What's-
does, but that
I mean,
wasn't
Johnny's
Modern
alt
Masters.
does.
Okay, but she said Sarah Avatar, which is definitely like the XX.
What am I thinking of? There's definitely a token that has a power and toughness equal
That's
to your
the
life,
Avatar
right?
token
You're
from a
thinking
Johnny.
of a
Oh, a
Johnny's
Johnny.
alt
It was
token.
M12, right? Is when that was 11. Okay, whatever.
11.
I don't know what Sarah Avatar does.
Okay. Any other guesses?
A token from the original Modern Master. Is it the Fairy Rogue from
It
Bitterblock?
is
No, that
not.
was 2015.
I mean, don't let both
Is
guests
it a
stump you. Come on, guys.
Is it the Elemental token?
So it's
for
got to be
Voice of
something
Resurgence?
that.
No,
boy.
that was Modern Masters 3.
No,
This is
'cause that would've
original-
been-
This is original Modern Masters.
Oh, OG Modern Masters. Oh, okay.
It's not what was in that set? Fairies, saplings, worms, tree
Tree-
folk.
Tree Folk. There's
Is
recent
that the
branches.
3/5 tree folk?
That would be a 2/5, but
It's a
no.
2/5.
Is it the 5/5 giant?
Nope. Oh, from Feud Killer's Verdict, my favorite card. That card alone made me excited about
Dude,
that
I
set.
won so many games with Few Killer's Verdict.
They put Few
I
Killer's
gave that card's so
Verdicts.
brutal.
Few Killer's Verdict with Den of the Fire Herd was my favorite deck I ever played in Standard. Yeah, that's right. I played those two cards together.
Few Killer's Verdict. That's practically a Scheherazade. It's like, nah, just kidding. This game's about to take a lot longer.
Yeah, I like 10 life and a 5/5. It's back when cards like that were actually playable. That was a great control deck. I used to play Dark Depths as a one of and actually take all the counters off too. That's the kind of control player I was.
I actually played a standard deck that Ryan brewed. What was it?
I
It
think
was
I know
like
what it is. I think I know what it is.
with we had like one Den of the Fire Herd in it.
Yeah, that was what I'm talking about. That was the Few Killer's Verdict deck.
Ryan, is it the
Jim,
Elspeth
what's your
emblem?
guess?
It is.
Ah.
Ooh.
That is
Oh,
$6
yeah,
on
Yep.
the buy list.
Yep.
Whole dollars.
Because it
Yep.
doesn't
And,
exist outside of there.
It is in the modern event deck, I believe.
Oh.
That's
Yeah,
nutty.
no, you're right.
Wow,
That's a good
$6.
But
for
yeah, it's
two
one of those
tokens.
things where, I mean, most people should be picking every emblem anyway. It's not quite as like tokens. Like, a lot of people don't pick all the tokens, but you really should, because you'd be amazed how many tokens are a quarter too. But when it comes to those emblems, like, not a whole lot match up to this with price. You got a couple that are worth like good money, like the Koth one I think is worth a bit because it's only in the dual deck, right?
Yep.
Whew.
No, the
it's
Koth
not.
one is in
it
Scars of Mirrodin.
I didn't think they. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, it
whatever.
is. There's a Venzer emblem from Scars
Yeah,
of
but
Mirrodin
they're
too.
not
Like
from
those have
Scars.
emblems.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, they were from
They didn't have them
the.
Yeah,
yet.
I'm pretty sure that's from the dual deck, Chief. I don't think they had emblems back
Yeah.
in Scars.
I think
You
they were
sure?
from the dual decks. I don't.
Because Tezzeret.
When did they start doing?
No, I guess Tezzeret wouldn't have an emblem. I think they started emblems the year after that, right?
Yeah, the only Koth and Venser emblems only exist in the Koth and Venser dual decks.
Yeah. Get on my bulk picking level, kid.
Okay.
You should know these
Wow,
things.
nice pick.
Yeah.
I picked an actual card. I feel like a chump for not picking a $6 token.
It's
But yeah, it's one of
it
those
buys
cards
it
that's
two
just
for
like,
$6.
I mean-
It could be more than that.
Yeah, these are buy list $6.
Woo.
They're actually like $10 tokens. And they're
I can't believe people pay $10 for something that the only thing you're allowed to proxy. That's crazy to me.
yeah, it is crazy, right? But it's, I mean, it makes sense. Like if you get the rest of that commander deck
That's
together.
Brainstorm Brewery's next token.
Yeah,
Elspeth
do that.
emblem.
Elspeth emblem.
The Elspeth emblem
can you-
with my
No,
face.
no, not your face. Make it Ryan's face.
Don't make it my face. You should,
Yeah, you're the-
you should do it as like a homage to our fallen
Ryan
comrade.
will
Christine
be on a
Sprinkle.
0-2 homunculus token.
You should contact Christine and see if she'd be willing to let you take one of her pictures and do the token from that. Do a
Because of her
sprinkle.
association with the podcast.
She was on here once. I mean, I'm just saying she actually dressed up like Elspeth, so
You could also dress up like Elspeth.
I'm not. Gonna
Yeah,
do
you
that.
should dress up like Elspeth. That'll
You
get
have
us
the
to
long
Can you
flowing
imagine
locks.
$3 grand on the Patreon.
Imagine me walking around in any amount of armor and how that would sound. Clang, clang, clang.
That's great.
I mean,
no,
how
I'm
do
kidding.
you think it sounds like when they walk around in it?
A lot less
Shamble
clanging.
shark.
Yeah, a lot less clanging.
It's like-
I don't think.
All right.
Clang, clang. It's still clang, clang.
I think
clang.
I have maximum clangage as far as that noise goes.
Well, as long as you don't clang out with your wang out, you'll be fine.
Whoa, too far, Jim.
That's too far.
That's too far. You can't do that. That's just a dangerous game right there.
You can't say wang.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
That's-
not even the words. You just can't do that with your wang out. Like that's real dangerous. Swinging armor. Whew.
Yeah, I don't want the like armor coming
Yeah.
together with my wang
That's
out.
like a guillotine
Just
in all
imagine-
parts
you
of
just
your
need
body
to have,
at all
you just have to
times.
have wang armor also.
That's equally terrifying.
Jesus.
So just like a metal cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much toughness does wang armor give you? Does that give you 0 plus 0 plus 1?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's
Wang armor.
no slag armor.
It's like a
or
ley line of
whatever.
wang armor.
Yeah, it's no J-Lo's booty as they playtested that card, but it's something like that probably.
Boom. All right. I got a card. Doesn't have any dicks on it, unfortunately, but it's got 2 commander printings, and it was originally in Urza's Legacy. It's a black card. What is it?
Oh, is it the Phyrexian you draw or you like return creatures from your graveyard? Yeah, there you go.
Reclamation.
That's
Yeah.
It's annoying how fast you guys.
Was that
go.
really it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
in
that's it.
Urza's.
It's in 13 and 14
It's
of Urza's
actually
Legacy.
secretly, or not so secretly anymore bad at this game.
Feels good.
Not
Feels good.
only
Guest
is
comes
his
on,
pick
first
not
card.
good, but his guesses are also not good.
Hey, we don't.
My pick was.
He's the main
My
host.
pick wasn't not good. It was a good pick.
You can't. Yeah, it was a fine pick. I just knew as soon as he said 2 commander printings that like there's not a whole lot of Urza's cards that have 2 commander printings.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you think Corbin would have got that? Huh? You think any of our listeners knew
No,
that?
Corbin
You
never
think,
would have got.
you think
That's
some
not a-
nerd driving to work right now with his coffee is like, I knew that. No way. That was a good pick.
Yeah, it was fine.
On a non-Ryan Bouchard week.
So
So you can eat my butt, Jim Casale.
whoever's on their drive to work right now,
I would've
listening to
gotten
this
that.
podcast, and they got this card. Can you please send me and Jason a Twitter message saying that you actually knew the card?
To be fair,
Yeah, I bet they'll be honest.
I knew
bet
that
they'll be
you
was
got to
super
give a bit of a
honest.
pause in there because I mean it took like 3 seconds for us to answer, so at least give him a little time to think about it.
Yeah, I bet some dude with a mouthful of donuts like, yeah, I bet that happened.
If that happens,
Somebody,
please let me
at
know.
least one other person guessed it, but I would guess it's less than 5% of the listener base got that card.
5% seems high. You don't know our listener base, dude.
Okay, well,
Some of these people give us money
I was
every month.
I was trying to be nice to your patrons who give you money every month.
But why?
They don't give us money. They give Brainstorm Brewery money, and we put it all back into the podcast because we're terrible with money. All right. Well, apparently I'm bad at this game, so you know what? Let's prove it. Let's do a final brick and bulk pick. DJ, do one just for me to guess, so I can prove that I know what I'm doing.
Okay. Well, when we recorded yesterday, I picked 2 incredibly easy ones that you got.
But no
right off
one,
the bat.
there's
They
no
were-
evidence of that.
He wants
Of
you
how
to ask the
fast I
same
nailed
ones.
both ears.
He was,
I'll probably forget. I actually don't remember what you said yesterday.
I don't either, but I feel like I would remember immediately as soon
Well-
as you say the hint again.
Yesterday, I said
No.
Chilmano's
Oh, yeah, I know
Blessing,
that in 1 second. What was the other one you said?
because it was on the MTG stocks weekly update.
No,
whatever,
I
so that
wrote
was
an
one of the 2
article when I was
easies.
talking about cards that were played in both EDH and Pauper, so I was going through like everything in Pauper.
So I'm gonna.
No,
take a
what was the
different
other
spin
one?
here.
Not
I have
the one that
3.
wasn't Chomanos' Blessing.
The other one was
Why, don't say
Gurmag
it.
because Card
Ugh.
Kingdom is paying ridiculous.
I was going to try to guess it again
ones were
because
too
I already
easy.
forgot what it was because I was
Now he's gotta do a
drinking
new
then.
one.
Those ones were
I'm
too
drinking
easy,
now.
Jason.
Yeah, all right, fine.
So I have 3
Oh,
separate
come on.
cards this
Jeez.
time.
No, you have too much.
This
real
isn't the
estate, Jay.
They are
SATs.
all-
I'm just trying to prove I know how to guess cards.
Yeah, pick one.
They are all from Shards of Alara.
Shards of Alara. All right.
Are they the land cycle?
Don't help me.
Jesus Christ!
Don't
Ryan's
help
too good at
me.
this. Wait. I don't know what land cycle Ryan was talking about. Were you talking about like Seaside
No,
Citadel
the
and Friends?
panoramas. The panoramas.
panoramas?
The sacrifice lands.
The
Everyone knows those.
Bananaramas.
If people don't know that
No,
those
no, no.
uncommon lands
They're
are
not
worth
the-
money by now, they're doing bulk wrong. Like, I don't care how many times those are reprinted.
No, it is not the. It's not the Jun panoramas or. I thought you meant like
No,
panoramic.
there
no,
are
no.
literally lands called.
No, it is not Jun panorama. It is not a cycle of 5. It is a cycle of 3
Cycle of 3 lands.
because it's a Lara, so it's a cycle of 3.
lands. It's the cycling lands. Wait, is there cycling lands in that?
Just let him describe it, for Christ's
He
sake.
did. It's a cycle of 3
We
lands.
didn't.
If he gives you
He's-
more information, he might as well tell you.
He
the
didn't
friggin'
say a
card.
cycle of 3 lands.
He
Did
just
he? Did he
did.
say a cycle of 3 lands?
I did say it's a cycle of 3
What
lands.
rarity? From Shards or
Common.
Shards Block?
Shards of Alara.
I'll let Jason guess. I know what it is.
Do 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 do.
I drafted a lot of this set.
Do 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 do.
A common land, cycle of 3? So wait, what do we have in Alara? There was in Shards. There was
There's 5 of them.
no, yeah, but did
Only one of the shards had these lands.
Yeah, I think Ryan knows it at this point.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. I'll let somebody else reveal it.
was it Ban?
Nope.
Huh? I don't know.
Let me know when. Let me
I
know
give
when you
up.
give up.
I'm gonna know it as soon as you
Okay.
give me one more clue. Give me one more clue.
Give him the mechanic.
Oh, maybe you don't know what this
No,
one
like
is. Then,
I mean
Ryan.
the mechanic of the lands. It's
Right,
not
there
a
is no
named
mechanic on the lands.
I know that.
Just give me another clue, man. Come on.
Sure. Give me a clue.
I think that
All of the cards are drawn by the same artist.
That's not a clue. Who knows that kind of
Wait, are
crap?
you talking about the basics?
I'm not a nerd. Jesus.
Like,
I am talking about Island
you're talking about the
236,
basics?
Jesus.
Garbage.
Swamp 238.
See, I thought you would never.
And Plains 233.
I knew you would never do a thing like that because, whatever.
Wait, is that swamp the one that's got like the moon in the background? It's got like the half like rain. It's not actually a rainbow, but it's got like rainbow shape.
Are these connectors?
No,
Is that what it is?
no.
No, they're not. The art does not all match up, but they are the Esper lands on Shards of Alara. They're all drawn by Chippy, and if you look them up right now, you might see why they are well loved enough to be put on buy lists for like around a dime a piece. The art is just
I wanna
really,
see
really
what's the
unique
swamp.
style.
it's the
and-
swamp. It's the swamp with the moon.
It is
it's
the swamp you're thinking of, Ryan.
sands,
Yeah,
like the sand.
the
mountains,
sand one.
and
Yeah,
then
they. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the island and the plains both have like this sort of space like.
Yeah, the island is like that was one of the ones. So
Like
Those
deep
are the
space.
ones that.
did you
Did
say
you
it was a
guys
cycle?
read
Because you're
the-
the fucking worst. Like that's not
yeah,
really a
Yeah.
cycle.
you really.
You said it was a
Cycle of
cycle of 3. Oh,
You tilted me.
you
there.
deliberately misled me, trying to make me look bad at this, giving me false information.
It was
I
good,
hope
though.
you rot.
It was good though. It was fine.
Or when you pick basic, like if you have a giant stack of basic lands sitting at your house and you're going through them, you should be taking out certain ones, like the Lorwyn Island and Swamp that we've talked about before on this podcast. And these are another one. They're non-foil, they're not full art, they're nothing fancy, and basic lands can be kind of boring to go through. But you should be picking out certain.
You should
ones.
take out. Here's what
Like-
I do when I pick basics. Anything that's not from a set, I take out. Like P3K lands are ridiculous, even though they came in precons.
They're also
Like Plane Chase lands are ridiculous.
They're also
lands from
absurdly hard
anything
to
like
sell,
that.
Though. That's the only problem with basics is like they're so rarely
Yeah.
actually on buy lists, even if they are worth money, because they don't sell as quickly as you'd hope.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like there are certain specific ones that you can sell, like the Lorwyn Island and Swamp. But these I just like pick out and then I sell them to Card Kingdom
Yeah.
for like a dime a piece.
This is one of
sometimes.
those.
Like they're just
Yeah,
quality.
they're just
basic
they're
lands.
more than the bulk rate, so just take them out.
Yeah.
Right. This is one of those islands that was on the article. There was like an Instagram post of like a guy going through all the islands in Magic that aren't actually islands at all.
Yeah. Right, and this one's really unique, and there's a lot of people who want to use it for like a cube or like EDH decks, like the heck, Chippy vintage art is constructed. Why not? But like these specific lands from Esper are just so unique and outside the realm of what people normally think of when they think of basic land
That's right.
types.
Shards of
that they're
Alara
worth
has my
picking out.
favorite basic land.
And
too.
that actually-
the Bant Island is my favorite.
You want to know what
It's one of the
other?
most realistic looking lands. I love it.
Oh, is that from a cycle of 3 also,
yeah,
Ryan?
technically.
Is a Ban Island from a cycle of 3?
Yeah, well,
You piece of shit, DJ.
Great.
Hey,
yeah, no, I
hey,
mean this
piece
this
of
set had
subhuman
great art
garbage.
in general. But yeah, that island has always been the one I play with. I'm actually looking for Japanese foils, poke if anybody has them. I'd like to buy a large number of them.
Is that
So that
because
actually,
Alara block was when you qualified to play in Japan on the PT?
I mean, that is when I qualified, but no, this is just my favorite island. I mean, it's got like the building in the background. It's one of the few
Yeah.
islands that.
Buildings are great. That's what I want in my fantasy stuff.
Well, no, it's a band, so it's like it's actually like a zoom out of one of the cities, and it's like sitting on a shore. Look at the island; it looks super realistic. That's why I like it. It looks like a photograph over a painting to me.
We were going to talk about some stuff between Breaking Bulk and Pick of the Week, and now we don't actually have time. We just got to go straight to
Well,
Pick
we
of the
should
Week.
talk.
Well, no, that actually works out well because we have a question from a
This is a
listener.
good
Well,
segue,
Alright,
Marcel.
let's do it.
we
I
need
mean,
to talk
Doug.
about the
email.
Jace price. We never did that.
This is a good segue, man. Question for the Brew Crew /show from Juan Rodriguez. Greetings, Brew Crew. As a longtime listener and recent Patreon subscriber at the $10 level, I've decided to invoke my donation privileges and force a response out of you guys instead of shouting into the void of Discord where my contributions are typically ignored. I acquired a bunch of bulk for my LGS this past Monday on February 5th for reference should this email be ignored until later. After a relatively straightforward time sorting out all the nickels and quarters from the boxes, I find myself left with 4 to 5k basic lands from sets ranging from Mirrodin forwards. After my intentionally lengthy preamble, DJ, please do not read my email address as punishment, I have now arrived at the question, what do you guys typically do with bulk basic lands? I could donate them, but that's obviously not the best EV. I could try taking them to the bulk outlet near me that gives $3 per 1k cards, but I don't think or know if they offer this rate for basics. I'd ask them, but that requires human interaction that I am not currently prepared to make. Is there a buy list for these things based on their arts? Can't wait to hear back from you nerds and keep making great content. Set from my Sheikah Salte, haha JK, set from my Rotom decks.
Salte. But
I know, but that's
don't try to explain. Don't try to explain inside jokes to a guy who hasn't listened to this podcast for 80 episodes.
Yeah, I've become the new Corbin. I've listened to like maybe 10 in there. But yeah, I mean that's fine. I turn them over and use them as proxies. But do whatever you're gonna do with them. Honestly, stores a lot of times will take them as a higher bulk rate. For quite a while, when there was $5 on normal bulk, $6 was the land bulk, and it's because like if it's already sorted and stuff,
yeah,
they know they're gonna be able to pick out a good number of those lands that will sell for them, and then also the rest you just need for events and stuff in your store. Come to find out, when you have nerds playing drafts at your store weekly, the troglodytes never return their basics. They don't put
the land back.
Yeah.
They just take it away.
Yep. I used to donate it to my local store. I mean, probably once every 6 months later, you'd get a €5 off me of basics. So,
yeah, just take it to your LGS and donate it and feel good about yourself, because what else you can do with it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one way to get decent value out of your basics is you can go to a reasonably comprehensive buy list like Star City or like Channel or like Card Kingdom, and if you sort just by like basic lands on their buy list, they'll obviously show you all the foil ones first, but the foil ones will be a good indicator of what arts people are looking for, and those will scale down in price to the non-foils. So like that island that I had for my Breaking Bulk, the foil is a pretty high buy price. They buy the foil for like $4 sometimes, and that's a good indicator of, oh hey, this is an art that people are really interested in, maybe I should pick out the non-foils. And there's other basic land arts that match up with that, like certain John Avon plains, certain mountains that have like really iconic pictures on them. Just like check the foil buy list for basics, and then use that to figure out what you're going to pick out for non-foils.
That was do you have another email, or that was...
I mean, I was also going to just add in that, like Brian said, stores will often want bulk basic lands. They'll probably pay you more than regular bulk because they have use for the store. If your LGS is having like a pre-release soon, that's like the time I would probably go over and ask them if they need any basic lands, because that's typically in my area. Stores are actually posting like at the Facebook groups like, hey, we need basic lands, we're offering $6 per 1,000, you can bring them in.
Right, and I used to just donate them because I mean it's such a little amount, like who cares, and help out your LGS. I mean those guys already do enough for the community. Quit trying to draw like every dollar out of them.
I put them in my instant collections also for basic lands.
Yeah, I mean it depends on the instant collection. Like we sell a lot of lots online, and most of them have like as a restriction, so just like no basics. So it depends on what your outlet is. But I mean, yeah, there's multiple outlets for them. You can also sit there and practice your card throwing skills with them across the room. Pick your choice.
Yeah, you'll end up like Ricky J. You'll be able to pierce a watermelon.
Yeah.
What?
No.
You didn't know that? Ricky J can throw a card so hard it'll go into a watermelon. Like you pierce it. It's like, wah!
Oh, he's like, wah? Not wah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wah!
Oh, okay.
It's like some Bruce Lee shit right there.
It's funny because Ricky J is a big fat white dude.
Sure.
So are we.
I meant more your noise you were making.
Well, I have influenza.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys know this, but like when you have a kid, sometimes they get sick and then they don't have manners. Like when I told my wife, I was like, "Oh, don't come near me. I have the flu. I don't want to get you sick." And then my daughter's like, "Hey, mommy," and cough right in her mouth. So, kids don't have manners, so they transmit diseases. So now when my kid got a disease, I got a disease. I got diseases. So sometimes when I'm making my Ricky J card throwing noise, it sounds a little different than it would normally. And I thank you not to point it out.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll work on that for next time. So do you have any more emails?
Another email.
Or do you want breaking? Or wait, did that?
No, Ryan. You know what?
What?
I know I said I'm sick, but I think I can drive this bus.
Okay.
So.
All right, bus drive away. I just don't want DJ to take over again, man.
No, what you reminded me of a thing that I. No. Ryan reminded me of a thing that I alluded to earlier that we get to later, and now is later. So we're going to do another email. We're going to do that. Then we're going to do pick of the week. Then we're going to get out of here. So right. I got a plan. So let's just make this happen. DJ, another email.
This one is titled, "I'm a patron now, so maybe don't ignore this." From Alec.
Your patrons are real sassy.
I mean, it's because I hang out in the Discord and then I shit on them as people.
Fair, they have to be sassy to be apparently appreciated or paid attention to, given the crowd that is taking these emails. Yeah. So I understand.
That's rough.
I like how everyone's like, "Hey, since you don't read emails for 4 months, I said this in February." We're like, "Oh man."
Yeah, I mean, when that's the common response, you know that it's probably true.
Hey, we don't read non-patron emails, so why don't you go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery, give us some money, and we'll read your email.
Hey, Brew Crew and DJ, that's the official greeting now, right? I signed up to be a Patreon, and according to Patreon itself, I am the $1,000th Patreon for the moment. I guess that makes me kind of special or something. Even though I'm poor at the moment, I guess I can afford $1 a month because your financial insights are great and your podcast entertaining. Anyway, now that I'm done flating all of us, I was wondering what cards to look at now that Jace, the Mind Sculptor, and BBE are unbanned. I just bought a playset of Dreadbores because reasons, and it looks like Kolaghan's Command already spiked pretty hard. But what cards are less likely to go up right away, as that might see a significant increase over time. I assume some number of Breaking Bulk picks or picks of the week will be based around the unbannings, but I'd love to hear some further discussion. Hopefully this email gets read and answered before every card under the sun spikes. Sent from my early 2017 MacBook Pro. That spacebar is kind of sticky right now, so this email is a bit of a pain to type.
Thanks for ruining my easy pick of the week, so now I gotta find something actually talented.
Use a sock, dude. Jesus. Have some decorum. You're gonna point at your 2017 MacBook?
I don't know, man. He said he was poor, and then he said he had a new computer. So I don't know if I believe it.
It might be a college student.
He's poor because he has a computer.
Or it's somebody else's computer. You don't know.
Oh, that's even weirder.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, it's like I stole some dude's computer. Now the spacebar is all sticky.
Is the spacebar sticky because he borrowed it, or was it sticky when he borrowed it? That's the real question.
That is a real question that I don't think we're going to answer.
I think if I steal a dude's laptop and the space is all sticky, I'm just going to give it back. I'm going to look.
Well, you might have any other option,
I'm going to check his internet
history. Are you
going
to give it back to him, or are you going to try to sell it back to him? Because that's the real pro play.
Sell it back to him? That's illegal, Jim.
I know.
No, you give the laptop back and you sell the internet search history.
Someone in my high school stole another guy's Magic deck and then tried to sell it back to him a week later. It was hilarious. He also got expelled.
Yeah, because that's how the world works.
That's how stealing works.
Yeah, that is the opposite.
Was that guy the only Magic card fence in the school, or
no? It was just like the one guy whose deck got stolen had, his family came for money, so he was going to buy the deck again anyway, and it wasn't going to be a real big deal. And then,
hey, I heard you recently lost your cards.
Yeah, the funny thing was the guy that
happened to have all of them.
The guy that stole the cards didn't play Magic, but he heard that someone was looking to buy cards, so he needed to sell the cards that he stole. So he ended up trying to sell it to the person whose cards he stole.
Well, how did he not know that he had stolen the cards from that dude?
It's a long
story.
story.
Just got him out of his locker or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have time. We'll just assume that guy's the dumbest criminal possible, because was this Florida or New York? Okay.
I'm a recent.
If it were Florida, I would just assume he was the dumbest criminal, and when he was trying to get away in a fan boat to Gatorade him. So where were we?
We were talking about cards that were going to spike because...
Pick of the week.
Oh yeah, I was thinking miracle stuff maybe, just because maybe you can throw your Terminus back on top with your Jace.
So my thought is like that's like oh, obvious, like, yeah, like you could brainstorm, put like miracles back on top of your deck. I just think that people are just going to play more fetch lands than they used to, because you can shuffle now with your brainstorm.
Ooh.
Like,
I mean, they already play a lot of fetches, right?
They do play a lot of fetches, but they just might play more fetches. Like, you, instead of playing like the blue-white deck, instead of playing just Flooded Strand and like maybe like one or two other blue fetches, maybe they'll play the full 8 or 10. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Flooded Strand and Fluted Delta saw some increases, because you just get like shuffles are just better now.
All right, what do you think, Deej? You can't think of any bulk cards that are going to go up.
Oh, there's an easy one. Come on, DJ. Purely
This doesn't
out of
affect
speculation.
Plopper.
Purely out of speculation, this card's going to go up. All right, I gotta just say it. Lightning. People remember it with Bloodbraid Elf. It matches up well against Jace. Not only is it the discard,
Yeah,
but
but
the
why
3
would
damage
you?
to
You
them.
got Coligon's command. Why would you try
again,
full blading?
Purely
That's
out of
what Ryan's
speculation.
saying.
It's
He's
50
saying
cents.
it's
Like, you
Yeah.
can't really...
All right.
People are at least going to test it. And honestly, it might just be just fine besides Coligon's command. But with Inquisition and Thoughtseize being in the deck, like the ability to strip the hand, and on top of that, you can deal with a Jace nice and cleanly if they brainstormed off of this. It seems great. I'm not sure if it's actually playable, but at the very least, people are going to test it. And if people are testing it,
Well,
and it sees any traction at
here
all,
it
it's
is.
going to be more than 50 cents.
Here it is Tuesday. You guys are probably listening on a Thursday or Friday, so it's like you already knew. Like, it's even too late to be like disrupting Shoal, because I'm sure by Friday
now.
that's already gone up.
Well, it's already gone
okay,
up.
so it went up by Tuesday.
Yeah.
So like some of the stuff, it's like by the time we even answer your question, it's going to be too late. So like the only thing that we can give you that's valuable is the non-obvious stuff, and the non-obvious stuff is going to be discovered by the Brad Nelsons of the world. So don't expect me to be able to deconstruct Modern in my head and figure out where it's going to go. People could be cascading into Savage Knuckleblade and winning the game. I just don't know, but I think
I agree.
They're
So who knows?
probably not, but yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
possible.
they're gonna cascade into Mantis Rider, obviously.
I mean, more plausible, but still probably not.
I mean, what if it's the Mantis from the 90s? Remember Mantis?
No.
Are you talking about?
He was the
giant
dude who
mantis?
had like the suit. No, he was like a dude. He was like a crime fighting dude, and the Mantis suit was like a suit armor.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I do, but I don't know what it's
Yeah.
anything to do with the rest of this. You've just literally took the
Because
word
he was a
mantis.
mantis.
Well, yes.
He was a mantis.
Was he a rider though? Because Mantis Rider is
Yeah.
not actually the mantis itself. It is
Didn't
the
Mantis
man
have
on the
a car,
back
or
of
was that the
mantis.
other show? Didn't they have a show called The Viper where the dude drove a Dodge Viper? It was basically a TV show that was a commercial
Yeah.
for the Dodge Viper.
Seems correct.
Is that? Am I remembering that correctly?
Sure.
Because then the Detroit hockey team was the Detroit Vipers,
I don't know
the
anything about
minor
that.
league team.
I'll take your word for
The
it.
Vipers, the Viper. Remember the Dodge Viper? Remember that
I don't know
car?
what the fuck you're talking about, man.
I mean, he's just talking.
You guys don't remember? You don't remember the early '90s?
Can we end
No,
this podcast,
we still gotta
please?
we
Jesus
still gotta
Christ.
circle around to Ryan's topic, which was where do you think Jace goes in price now, and what do you want to do about it?
No.
Yep.
So this is kind of going to be the
Yeah,
boring
you're
part
not
for
that-
us because this is most of what we spent on last night, right? But we'll do it real quick.
Do it real quick, man. Ryan, 60 seconds. Jace's price now, Jace's price in 3 weeks, and then what do you do if you know it's going to be in Masters 25? Go!
So it depends on if you're the player that needs the Jace the Mind Sculptors before the reprint. If you need them beforehand, I think your best bet is to wait as long as you possibly can, because the closer we get, the better it's going to be for you. Otherwise, just wait till afterwards. Obviously, I think afterwards it's probably going to settle between 80 and 100, depending on how much play it's seeing. It's going to be 120 up until that point. And then from that point,
30
it's
seconds.
really just a matter of how far out it sees play. If it sees continuous play, it's just going to continue to progress up from 100. I could see it being 200 again if it turns out to be a powerhouse, but not quite bannable. And I could see it realistically more or less being between the 80 and 100 mark for its longevity.
15 seconds.
And don't pick up your Jaces now unless you absolutely have to, and you're playing in a tournament that's higher the EV than wasting $100 extra on a playset of Jaces now.
Oh, he got in under a minute. Give him a hand, everybody. That was the lightning round.
Boo.
Okay.
What was the boo for? Screw you.
No.
Because I said it was the lightning
Because
round.
I
he made
thought it
a
was
magic pun, and Jeremy's not on this podcast, and I thought I was going to be able to avoid those.
Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Hey guys, here's my pick of the week, Crypt Breaker. Would you guys like some rationale?
I mean,
Fine.
seems very
They printed 4 cards in Rivals, all of which go in Sidisi, and all of a sudden Sidisi went from like the 12th most brewed deck on EDH Rec to the 5th most brewed deck last week. People are playing Sidisi because of World Shaper, Journey to Eternity, and Path of Discovery. So you go and you look at what's in Sidisi. I think Crypt Breaker is a card that could go up. I would have said another card I looked at, Traverse the Ovenwald, but actually Stibbs said that last week. And I still think Traverse is a really good pickup based on that, plus its modern playability. So if I'm going for an EDH-only pick, I think Crypt Breaker is at its absolute floor. Pick it up now.
Boom.
All right. So I was talking earlier about sealed product that has a higher value with the singles inside of it. We went over the Chainer's Edict thing. We went over From the Vault, Bloodbraid Elf, all those. There are several cards in the Commander 2015 decks that have just slowly crept up in price over the past several months. Blade of Selves is now a $10 card. Gisela has risen back up to $8. I remember Corbin, that was his pick of the week at like $3 or $4 a while back. Magus of the Wheel. What's the biggest? Fiery Confluence is another really big one. That card.
So it sounds like you're referring to the Kalemna deck.
Yeah, so Wade into Battle has about $85 to $90 worth of cards in it for the average Commander player or for somebody who wants to pick up a decent number of cards for their collection. And you can generally find these online for less than $50. I generally like to mention the fact that when I buy my own picks of the week, because I'm that confident in them, I picked up several of these decks. I think they're really, really good buys.
Did you buy all $2,500 worth that you were looking at?
I bought a lot of these decks. So I have a lot of faith in this product. And not only in the ability to make money as a retailer, but just the average Joe buying this deck at $50 who has a TCG player seller account can probably make between like $20 or $30 just listing all of the singles that are worth listing online. So it's just,
plus you get a bunch of free crap.
Yeah, I mean,
we're
assuming that the value of the other 90 cards in this deck are 0. And so we're just looking at Fiery Confluence,
Thought
Lightning
Vessel,
Greaves, Thought
free,
Vessel, Sun Titan, Soul Ring, like the good 10 cards in the deck, and then everything else becomes free. So I just think this deck is very, very powerful. Like the deck itself isn't very powerful, right? But the power is in the value of the cards in it. So
yeah, then you can list all that stuff on TCG Player, and you get to keep a free Duragar Hedge Mage. So there you go. You got it for free.
Well, I mean, you still get like $20 or $30 like actual dollars back after. This isn't like
no, I know. I'm just pooping on you. Calm down. That's a good pick, man.
Yeah, I put a significant amount of money towards these decks because as somebody who's out of stock of Fiery Confluence, I'm out of stock of Magus of the Wheel. These decks are just nobody's just cracking these and having them in their binders. They're hard to find. These are cards.
And Wade into Battle was the crap one. Retailers were mad that
exactly.
they were stuck with the stupid, terrible red-white deck that nobody wanted to play with Brian Stoutarm and crap in it.
Yeah,
now,
exactly. And like the Marin deck currently sells for $90. You're not making any money off of that. The black-white one is close because you can find them at around $30 and there's like $40, $45 worth of product in it, but like it's not as good of a slam dunk value. And I mean, people in our Discord chat are talking about like where do we want to put our money with these unbannings? Like where do we buy with Jace going up? Where do we put all our money? I don't care. I just want to buy like a lot of these decks because they're just free money for people who have the cash to put towards them. And anybody who has a TCG player seller account can just relist, or eBay even, doesn't matter what you're reselling on. Like I calculated the value of Card Kingdom buy list for the 10 most expensive cards in this deck, and you break even just selling those 10 cards to Card Kingdom, and then you have the rest of the deck for free. And that's just if you buy one.
Not even retail. Yeah.
Sure.
So it's not just like you're gambling on the money whether or not you're able to sell them. You can just arbitrage this deck right now.
This is arbitrage, yeah.
And I don't think that if this, like, obviously there's going to be a limited number of copies of this deck. It's not like there's just infinity copies flowing in at 50. Like, the market will self-correct itself. But I think you stop buying in after, like, 55 or 60. Assuming that all of the card prices stay the same, because I do think Fiery Confluence does go to 20 soon.
Are you just, like, continuing to talk?
Yep, I'm done.
Is
He's
it
self-correcting.
Just to see if
He's
you can-
self-correcting himself.
is it my turn yet?
Yeah, go ahead,
Alright,
Jimmy.
So I have like two. One is like I think this is a good card to buy if you play Magic and you have any like intentions of ever playing it, which is Flooded Strand. I think that the Khan's fetch lands are very likely to see an increase in price because they've just been bottomed out pretty much forever. If we get like the enemy color fetch lands in M25, or if people just start playing them more because of Jace, then people are just going to need more fetch lands. It's going to happen. My more speculative, but still like probably not very investment heavy pick is Counterflux.
Ooh.
If Jace mirror matches in Modern become more popular, that's a way to stop their Jace like completely from resolving. It also has the ability, if you pay an additional mana, to overload it, which means that you can counter the Bloodbraid Elf and the other spell that it's casting. So it's like good against both of the cards that are getting unbanned. If those cards are seeing a lot more play, people may...
What deck's set up to run this? The Grixis, maybe?
Or Jeskai?
Yeah, Jeskai.
It works
Storm,
fine
I
in the
guess.
existing Jeskai deck.
But I don't think Storm really needs it. Like, you don't care about Jace. You don't care
Right,
about
yeah, well,
Bloodbraid
I mean,
Elf.
it's also good against the Storm deck because...
It's better against Storm than it is against Storm.
But you were asking what decks have the capacity to play it. Like, Storm could play it, but I don't think they would.
Yeah, it's probably going to be in some blue, red, white, or black decks. Some kind of...
I mean, we're gonna see a blue, white, red control deck emerge. I'm sure. I mean,
Right.
it may not be good, but with Jace being there and tools like Path and Lightning Helix and stuff, like, we're definitely primed for a real deck. I mean, that's the one deck I think has the most to gain from Jace being unbanned, because it really needed that pseudo finisher while actually having a card advantage engine as well. And I think that Jace is everything that deck wants and more. And that is, like, if any deck is going to make Jace really pushed, I think that's where we're going to see it.
Right, and I remember playing during the Innistrad Return to Ravnica standard, where people were playing basically Snapcaster Mage control decks, where your only win conditions were resolved through a Cavern of Souls naming human, and Counterflux was all over the place because it was just an uncounterable counterspell. So you could stop basically any threat except for something going through Cavern of Souls. So I think it's speculative, but it's like right now they retail for like a quarter on TCG Player, so like you could buy 10 copies, and then worst case scenario you buy list them for a dime. Like you don't have that much to lose by buying them.
Sure.
You know what's really upsetting to me? My nickname for Cavern of Souls never caught on. I thought it should have been called Broside You.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
But nobody was about it.
I've never heard that term out of you before, but I
You know what,
I don't
Ryan?
dislike it as much as I would.
Don't get all revisionist on me. I definitely got T-shirts printed up that said hashtag Broside You, and nobody was about it.
I don't think
I think
even
it's
called
maybe
it
they can catch
Broside
on
either.
because it could be slightly offensive to people who know nothing about Magic. Those words sound like other things, so. But yeah, is it, I guess, my turn? I also have two. One.
Yeah, because you made it real awkward and then brought everything to a screeching halt. So I think it's as good a time as any to
I
let you talk
thought you
about
were
your pick of
driving
the
this
week.
bus. If anything, you're the one that slammed on the brakes.
Hey man, he's jamming. You know what? He's in the handicap accessible seat, and he's pulling on that little cord that tells me
I'm not
it's
the
his stop.
one.
But every time we drive by a stop, he pulls on the cord. So yeah, I'm driving the bus, but like, what am I gonna do? Not pull over when a
Well,
disabled
you
person
could-
says he wants to
yeah,
get off?
You
So
could not be the driver for the short bus to start.
it pays better.
Well, I mean, know what you're getting yourself into.
It's a good job with benefits.
Know what you're getting yourself
So-
into. That's why it pays better. You got to deal with things like that. But anyway, so yeah, I've got two picks: one casual and one competitive. For the casual pick, I really think with 25th Masters, we're not going to see a whole lot of gold cards come out of the set, especially since you have a lot of sets that, didn't have gold cards in them at all that are going to have cards in the set. And I think that really gives a big push towards the medallion cycle that we've already seen gaining value here in the past couple of years. Those are only going to get better as we get a lot of these cards that are more accessible for Commander, things like that. I think you're going to see a lot more focus this year on either 2-color or 1-color Commander decks as opposed to the multicolor they've really been pushing for the past couple of years with the Commander decks themselves. So I think it's a good chance for those medallions that are already kind of on the uptick and already getting hard to find from the last Commander printing to really take a big jump for the really played ones like the Sapphire and the Ruby. And I think the other ones that are kind of like bulkier, like Pearl right now, have a chance to kind of hit that $3 to $4 range. So I don't know how you feel about that, being the Commander guy. But then also my competitive pick is a little metagaming for the metagame. I think that with Jace doing well, you're going to see a lot of rise in mono red. And though the main mono red answer right now falls in to a lot of spells like Leyline and stuff like that, I think we're going to see the resurgence of cards like Core Firewalker, as it's a creature that can kind of do battle against like these Eidolon decks, and you're not necessarily forcing yourself to take the damage, but at the same time can also protect a Jace early on, and things like that out of the control decks. And it really only has it has the Gateway promo, but outside of that, it just has the set itself printing. There's been no reprints in a master set yet, so if it's not in this coming set, I would expect to see that pick up. And I don't think it's something you have to pick up right now. I mean, you start trading for them at 50 cents like they are on TCG, but I think you want to start looking at them pretty
I think that's
heavily.
in Masters 25 for sure, right? It's gotta be.
I mean, we say that, but it hasn't been in any master sets yet, and it's certainly had the chance to. And if it's not, I think this card has a real potential to be suddenly a $3-4 card. And if you don't pick them up, again, you have through next week. If it's not on the spoiler, know that and acknowledge that.
What's that card from Darksteel
that
that does practically the same thing?
Sun Droplet? That's not really the same.
No, the creature. Or they're from Fifth Dawn or whatever.
Auriac Champion.
Yeah. Isn't that legal in Modern?
It is.
Yeah.
It also just got reprinted.
It is. It also just got got an Iconic Masters reprint. So
it also doesn't.
Yeah, but why would you?
It also doesn't kill an Eidolon in combat. And
Oh,
Pro
that's
Black
true.
doesn't really matter. Like Pro Red, Pro Black is rarely relevant together unless you're against like Jund, I guess, and it still gets sacrificed to Liliana. You're not going to play it against those matchups anyway. So really, like the matchups where you would want it, you're just giving up a power and toughness for a fairly irrelevant half of the card, in my opinion, at least. Like I think that this is probably just better.
Auriac Champion also gains you.
Mr. Death Shadows says that a creature having
Core
Pro Black is
Firewalker also
worthless.
gains you life whenever red spell's played, right?
Yeah, it's Core Firewalker gains you whenever red spells cast. Auriac Champion gets you life whenever a creature enters the battlefield, which is
Right. So Auriac Champion
is a lot worse against burn.
Yeah, in creature
that's a good
decks,
point.
I think Auriac Champion is like a fine card. Like if you're playing Soul Sisters or something like that, and that's the main place it sees play. But if you're playing a deck that's like relying on a Jace and you want to be able to protect it, I think Core Firewalker is where you want to be.
All right, good deal, man. Did we get to everybody?
You didn't do
Yep.
yours, right?
he did Crypt
I did
Breaker. He was
mine.
first.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Crypt Breaker.
It was
It's just the
30 minutes
segments.
ago.
Yeah, it was because DJs took so long.
Because somebody talked for a really long time. That's fine. This was a longer than normal podcast, but hey, I'm kind of surprised because I kind of thought we wouldn't want to really get into it because rework sucks. But I'd like to thank Jim Casali and Ryan Bouchard from coming on this podcast and then coming back on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's a real time commitment. I'd like to thank DJ Johnson for being our guest for like 70 some odd episodes. And I'd like to thank you, the listeners, for going to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and giving us money. And if you don't want to give us money to our Patreon, we're going to have a huge announcement next week about other ways you can support us. But for now, even if you're not watching this on YouTube, if you want to support us for $0, go to youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery and finger blast that bell icon, like and subscribe to all our videos. Thank you so much. This has been Brainstorm Brewery.
Wait, I have a shout out. I want to thank Jason real quick.
Oh,
I want to first time ever on this podcast. I want to thank you because you were one of the few people that didn't just shoot me down immediately for my Jace pick and saying it was going to be unbanned and reprinted. You were one of the few people who heard me out and said it wasn't so crazy. So thank you for being that, plausibility.
His ego will never survive this.
I bought $450 worth of Jaces when you said that. I was like, all right.
Yeah, see?
So I made some money.
Excellent.
So, whoops.
But anyway, yep. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's fine. It's not like I was trying to wrap up a 90-minute podcast episode.
This is all your fault.
Well, yeah. Whatever. Just slowly fade out.
You just start.
What's the Ricky J noise?
No, just start singing a song and then just fade out with that song.